We got a blown axle here. I'll show you what happened. See, it's got a big old ridge on it right there. It started making noise. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to change that bearing in there, the bearing in that seal. And I've got an OTC number here. This is an actual bearing puller, and this is an OTC slide hammer that I've had for years. And the way you work with these things is it tilts a little bit one way, but it tilts a lot the next way. You've got to get it in there. And then what it does is it lays up against that bearing in there, and you've got to hammer it backwards. There she goes. Make sure you didn't leave any junk in there. And then the new bearing goes in just like that, and then you have to use the bearing installer. That's what this is going to be. You can do it this way, but I usually just use the flat side. Once you hit it hard enough, you'll hear it feel like it's bouncing back, and that just means that you've dead end. So then we get another bearing installer backwards. We can tap that seal in. Now we can take and clean this up. And I'll use this spray that I use. It's an acetone based spray. It's cheaper than Brake Clean. I use fine paintbrushes like this because they're cheap. I think these are 50 cents a piece. And I know you're not supposed to hang that on there. Just kind of let it dangle just a little. Using a paintbrush, it's a little bit easier, a little finer, so it kind of gets into the little nooks and crannies a little bit better than an actual parts brush. So we'll let that dry out a little bit, and I'll use the blowgun again. Right. Before I put it in there, I'm going to get a little grease and put on that seal, just to kind of help it. And I'm going to also put some on that bearing. just so it's not turning dry until the 90 weight gets to it. Alright, here's that new axle. And we got friend Mr. Hornet. You gotta be kind of careful going in. You don't want to push too hard on that seal. There goes my gear. Now that goes all the way in and it sits back, and when it's out and it's operating width, it'll come out just about right there. I'll show you down below what you have to do to put that together. Alright, so you can see in there where that axle protrudes through this gear, and this clip has got to go inside there, so make sure that that axle is pushed in all the way. Make sure that gear's all the way in. Let's see if we can get that clip to go in. Alright, so you gotta make sure those holes line up. Because what you can do is if you move that wheel just a little bit, then it starts to move the gear out of the way. So you gotta make sure that that thing is lined up. And see there's your pin going right in that hole. Let me see here. So your pin has to, there's your locating hole. And you gotta make sure that that axle is now pushed out. Just tap it in there a little bit. So then you've got, there's a locating bolt right there, so then that just goes in the hole, and then you can see the threads are at the end. Alright, so another thing that I got to deal with, it looks as though they've broken a bolt off. Let's see. Yeah, there's a broken bolt there. There's silicone on the broken bolt. I think I know what they did. Alright. I think I know what they did. Let's see. There's all of our bolts. There's a broken one there. When I took this apart, that thing zipped right off of there. I mean, it didn't have any resistance at all. And there was a big pile of silicone around the bolt. Only on this bolt, not on any of the other ones. I think what happened was they broke that off and they glued it back on the hole of the cover that's up in here. Where that cover bolts in. Right there. Or right there. So anyway, I think they glued that bolt head back in there. It looks like it's been broke for a while. That's not a good way to do it. So I got to try and deal with that broken bolt. So I've got a couple of different options. One is I weld a washer and then a flat nut on it. Or I might be able to get a piece of square steel and drill a hole in it and do that and use my crescent wrench to pull it out and after I weld it, or I can use an easy out. But I'm going to have to clean that hole to see what I'm working with. Alright, so there's my Dremel type tool. I got my big Maxima light. Let's see what kind of a bit I can use. I'm thinking like a wire brush type of thing. Maybe that one will work. It's not very good quality, but try it. Sorry about the camera. I got automatic center punch here. The reason I use that grinder is because there was a little nib on the end of the broken bolt and it would have gone to the side of it, so I nibbed it off flat, kind of like this, not quite as round, but so I could go right in the middle of that broken bolt right in here. So I've got it just about right. I'll show you the little divot that it made right there. Now what I have here, that's a little left-hand bit right there. Now I've got that crooked, this is straight in, but it's wanting to come down a little bit from the hole. It's sitting there, it's in the middle, it keeps wanting to come down. So if I keep it centered like this, once I get the hole centered, then I can move the drill around this way. There goes my light. All the cordless are great until they out the juice. Not the sharpest bits, that's for sure. They're brand new too. Put a little pressure on it. I don't want too much. I'm gonna run it kind of slow and see if it'll actually back out of there. Keep adjusting it so it's straight. because ultimately I still may have to put an easy out in there. Yeah, it's in there. It's only about an 1/8 inch in the hole, so I can't get an easy out in there just yet. Nice and easy now, come on. There she comes. There we go. That's a relief. So off camera I went ahead and put the cover back on, got it filled up with differential oil. We checked everything, got another bolt in there. After cleaning the rotor and everything here, looks like it's cleaned up pretty good. I also wanted to show you, remind you of that nice groove in there, and this is what it started to do, is it started to chew up the tire. There's a nasty little spot with the ribs coming through. And I don't know exactly what started it, but she said that she kind of ran off road during a snowstorm. Didn't really think there was any damage done, but apparently there was just enough of a hit that it destroyed the bearing, and it kind of boogered that axle up, and then eventually over time it just chewed it up. But that's it in a nutshell. Looks like she's pretty much done. I'm going to put it together and go for a test drive. Well, there's that together. I think this car might be from New York. Town car. From New York. Town car.